Hi, so this video is about the conversion of this Lima Deltic to radio control. Those of you that have seen other videos, you'll know that I've done this before. The basic process is that you fit batteries to the locomotive and they're rechargeable, and so from time to time you have to plug it in. And the conventional way to kit it out would be to use a handheld radio transmitter and a radio receiver. And this type of receiver includes an electronic speed control. So its output, apart from providing accessory control like lights and whistles or whatever, it's got a pair of wires that go straight to the motor. However, this time I've taken a different approach and I've used what's called something like nRF24L01 plus. And that is a transceiver which comes in at least three guises. Large, which you could probably use with garden railways, and you can see with a separate antenna. A medium size, which is probably about an inch on its longest dimension. And then the small one, which is probably about half an inch on the smallest dimension. And that's the one I've used in the locomotive, and I've used the medium size one in the transmitter. So this is a transmitter that I've made, and I've put some switches on it and also a keypad, and I'll explain what those do later. The transmitter is also rechargeable. But just an aside about this type of radio device, it is a transceiver. It can transmit and receive. But obviously in this case, you simply want to transmit from the handheld and receive in the locomotive. But the default way that happens is that when you send a message from the transmitter and the receiver receives it, if it's received it correctly, it will send a brief message back to the transmitter to confirm that. And if the transmitter doesn't receive that message, then it will retransmit until it either times out or gets a satisfactory reply. Now, I've never experienced any problems with the conventional radio kit, I should emphasise, but I just wanted to try this as an alternative. The other critical thing to understand is that unlike the conventional radio, this transceiver requires a microprocessor to drive it. And furthermore, in the case of the locomotive, the microprocessor provides a 5-volt square wave, which then needs to go through what's called an H-bridge to bolster up that to 12 volts or 15 volts with an output current, probably a maximum of an amp. Okay, so we've got a view of each end of the locomotive. So by default, when you drive the locomotive, you get a white light and direction of travel. And after a short period of being stationary, you get reds at both ends. So we've got horns, a hiss, the guard's whistle, and if I use the shift button, you get a wheel squeal and a brake squeal. And then using the other toggle button B, we can start the engines. Now we can start the engines. And the unit then powers down. So we can power the unit back up. using the magnet. Okay, so lighting effects. We can put on shunting lights. So what we have now is one white and one red showing at either end, and it doesn't matter whether it's moving or stationary, that's what you get. So we can put those back off, back to normal lights. The other thing that's useful to be able to do is to kill the red lights on the back of the locomotive when it's hauling a train. So this is done by using code 61 or 62. So if I put in 61, we now have no lights on one end, red lights on the other, which become white when it drives. So we put those back. Okay, so we should be able to see cab lighting here, so just to be sure, I'll just put them both ends on with code 74. Here we go. And then put them off, and then if we decide we want cab lighting at the opposite end to direction of travel, that would be 73. So it goes that way, you have the rear lights on, and it goes that way and you have the rear lights on. Both ends, neither end. I've also got other sounds that can be done courtesy of the keyboard. So for example, or the keypad, a failed start. A prime pump. Compressor. And you can set the handbrake. And without using the engines, if we want to shut it down, you put in 99. And that's it going down.